got a heck of a shot of winning. We can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
David Wells has pitched a perfect game. 27 up, 27 down. Baseball immortality for David Wells.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2. Bates against Joseph. Bates in on goal. Metho! Defend Metho! And the Rangers have one more hell of a time, baby!
This is the Cross Island Sports Network, where iconic moments get iconic coverage.
You are listening to
the Cross Island Podcast, hosted by Lyle Gillen and Errol Marks.
Welcome to a new show of the Cross Island Podcast. As you know, my name is Errol Marks, my co-host, Lyle Gillian. Lyle, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much. Looking forward to having a fantastic show tonight.
Yes, great show lined up for you guys, as always, as we're going to get into the ALCS and the NLCS. The Mets right now are tied 1-1 with the LA Dodgers. The Yankees are up 1-0 against Cleveland as their game is about to start, game number 2. As, if you're a Yankee fan, you just hope that they go up 2-0 and move on to Cleveland and squeak in those wins and head to the World Series that haven't been since, 2009 was the last time they've been to a World Series, and that was when they won a World Series their first year in Yankee Stadium, so the new Yankee Stadium. And we will get into, obviously, the Islanders right now. Their record is 1-1-1. Sorokin had his return yesterday, had one of his, one of the games that we expect for Sorokin, a Colorado Avalanche team that has not played very well so far early this season. They're 0-3, but Sorokin looks like he's the old Sorokin. We'll see if he continues moving forward as the season progressively moves forward. The Rangers right now playing good hockey. Lafreniere looks like he's getting better and better, so it looks like, the change of coach and Peter Laviolette has helped the growth of Alexis Lafreniere. So if you're a Ranger fan, you should be happy about that. And Shesterkin has looked pretty damn good too. I don't know what they're going to do with this contract that he's expecting, but he's turned down an $88 million contract. He wants $11.5, $12 million. Will the Rangers give it to him? So we'll get into a little bit of the Rangers and the Islanders, and we'll also get into some football as the New York Jets lousy loss last night against the Buffalo Bills, 23-20. They should have won by 14. They just completely choked, and the Jets make a trade today, and they add Devontae Adams to the roster. And it looks like they're closing in on Hassan Reddick, too. So that's the story right now. And we'll get into a little bit of the Knicks, too. DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo had a little outburst in a preseason game with the New York Knicks with Tom Thibodeau and Jalen Brunson's father, Rick. So we'll get into that as well. So let's get into it. The New York Yankees first. Actually, let's go to the Mets because the Mets have been the surprising team right now. And it's not even just in baseball, in New York sports. Nobody would have thought that the New York Mets would be playing to go to the World Series this year. Nobody, not even the Mets organization, believed that they would be here. And that has nothing to do with their talent, has nothing to do with their new GM or ownership, has nothing with a new coach. It really just stems. They didn't spend money in the offseason. They added pieces to the puzzle, but they were really one-year deals. They weren't bringing them in for their end-all be-all. They didn't think that they thought they were a borderline playoff team. They didn't think that they were going to be in the NLCS versus the Los Angeles Dodgers and be tied 1-1. But Lindor has been everything they paid for, as far as I'm concerned this year. I think will be the runner-up for the MVP right behind Ohtani. He's had a sensational year. He's been unbelievable in the playoffs. He really has been hitting home run after home run. The Grand Slam home run that he hit in the last series, which practically won him that series. And then going into game number 2 against the Dodgers, hitting that leadoff home run was sensational. Gave the Mets some understanding of where they could be in this series if they continue playing the way they are. And I'll say this. Vientos has been the best hitter as far as I'm concerned. Besides Giancarlo Stanton,
He's been fantastic for them.
he has been unbelievable. I mean, he's batting close to 400 in throughout the playoffs. He's been unbelievable. He's hit, he's hit in so many different positions. I mean, they're walking him now. They're afraid to pitch to him, this guy's a rookie, and he's cleaning up right now for the New York Mets. And I just think it's been very impressive. It really has been. Their pitching has been good. Senga didn't look good in game number 1. Game number 2, obviously, I forget, Mahia, whatever his name is, he looked really, really good in game number 2. He's been their best pitcher. He's been the best pitcher for the New York Mets. I think he was definitely in the conversation as a Cy Young candidate. Obviously he's not going to win the Cy Young, but he's definitely a top 5 pitcher in the National League this year. But I mean, the Mets pitching has been fantastic. They're getting quality hitting. Their lineup, obviously, in the top end has been really, really doing the damage. But even in the back end, they're getting timely hitting in the back end. They've just been unbelievable. They really have. And the Dodgers, they don't have any starting pitching. That's been their problem. They're only in the NLCS because of their talent. They're all-around talent. Mm-hmm. When you have Mookie Betts and Friedman and Ohtani, I mean, their lineup is so top-heavy, and their bullpen is fairly good. But if you don't have starting pitching, you're going to have a problem throughout the playoffs. The only reason why the Dodgers are where they are right now is because of the talent in their lineup. But could that end with this New York Mets team? The Mets do have better pitching, but how much better? I know a lot of Mets fans. I was talking to Josh earlier today, and he says the Mets pitching is so much better. But he was, arguing his points about the Dodgers, and I said, okay, if they're so much better than the Dodgers as far as pitching is concerned, why are the Dodgers in the NLCS? So I just think right now the Mets have the better pitching because they've pitched better in the playoffs. But are they much better than the Dodgers as far as pitching is concerned? I don't think that they are.
Well, I think that the Dodgers, they have guys who have in their career proven that they are good pitchers. It's just
and it's Minaya. I'm sorry, it wasn't Mejia. Sorry.
This year they have not shown on the field what they are capable of. But on any given day, these pitchers can do what we've seen them do in the past and pitch a tremendous game. And I think that ability, along with their talent, is what could be a problem for the Mets. But if they're pitching all of a sudden decides to figure it out, like, hey, out of nowhere, it happens. But I think that's really the Mets have to take advantage of when they get chances right now, and because you don't want to see the Dodgers all of a sudden be in a position of, well, the last 3 games, hey, the starting pitching has figured it out, and now we're in a position where we have to try and match that and catch up. And I don't think that the Mets want to be in a position where they have to play catch up to the Dodgers.
Well, Walker Buehler is a shell of himself. Ever since he's come back from his injury, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He just hasn't been the same pitcher. Landon Knack and Jack Flaherty, they all have been up and down all season long. The guy, Yamamoto, in the second half of the season was one of the best pitchers in the National League, but he's been fighting injury all season long. He's had elbow problems. And a lot of these Japanese players, when they come to the United States, we've seen it with the Yankees. We've seen it all over the league. They've had elbow problems because obviously the balls are bigger in the major league. You're pitching more games in the regular season in the American, in the MLB than you are.
I think they pitch more in Japan.
What? I'm sorry?
I think they pitch more in Japan.
No, they actually pitch more in the MLB. They have more games, 162 games in the MLB season. They're pitching.
Yeah, but I think they pitch more often, and I think
it's every 5th day, and they throw a lot in Japan. And again, don't quote me on the argument of who pitches and how many games they pitch in Japan than they do in America. But the fact is all these Japanese pitchers, they come to America and they have elbow problems. They have shoulder problems. They're never healthy. Go look at all these Japanese or Korean players that come to America. Yu Darvish has had elbow problems. I mean, Yamamoto's had elbow. Ohtani has had elbow problems. If you go up and down over the years with some of these pitchers, they've all fallen down because of elbow problems or shoulder problems. So Yamamoto's their best pitcher. And when Ohtani is moved to the rotation next year, it's definitely going to help them. It's going to give them that little boost. But do you put Ohtani back in the rotation after what the season that he had this year? Obviously they will, because they're paying him a lot of money, but is it the smart move by the Dodgers? But nevertheless, the Mets do right now on paper, the way they've pitched, have a better rotation, but not by much, of the Dodgers. It's just really who's going to hit and who's going to get the timely hitting. And in game number 2, it was the Mets. The Mets got an early lead. They were up 6-0, just like the Dodgers were in game number 1. They were up 6-0, and the game was practically over. The Dodgers had that big inning. They had 3 runs. They had a chance to knock in more. The Mets stopped the bleeding, and their relief pitching took over the game, and they pitched very well at the tail end of the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. If Diaz doesn't...
Is Darvish back in Japan?
No, I think he's still here in America. So I think he's playing for the Rangers, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Yu Darvish, by the way, is Korean. He's not Japanese, so he's Korean.
Yeah, but he was in the Japan league.
Yes.
No, he is Japanese. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's from Japan. Yu Darvish.
I think he has Korean blood too. I think he also has Korean blood.
Yeah, he was on the Padres. Okay, so I'm looking at a pitch count from. This is actually from a long time ago.
Oh, I didn't even know he's playing for the Padres. It shows you how much I know about the Padres. But Darvish has had elbow problems. All these foreign Asian players, they come into the major leagues and they have had problems with their elbows. They all have. If you go, Nomo, when he came into the league, he had elbow problems. Within a year or 2 years, he's had elbow problems. It's really the way they release the ball. And again, the Yankees have had Japanese players over the years that have had elbow problems as well. So again, Yamamoto's have been all season long has had problems with his elbow, and he's in a pitch. Obviously, they have a pitch count for him. He only can pitch 5 innings. So and right now in the position that the Dodgers are in, they're going to be going into certain games where they're going to have to use a lot of their relief pitching, and it might wear out the bullpen. And if the Dodgers do get out of this Mets series, if they do, whoever they play, the Cleveland Indians or the New York Yankees, any one of those teams are going to have an advantage against the Dodgers because of the rotation, because of the relief pitching. And right now, the Mets are just playing good baseball. And if you're a betting man, you would probably bet the Mets to come out of this series. I think this series goes 7 no matter what. I know Josh said 6. I think it goes 7. If it goes to 7, the pressure is on the Dodgers. I think being that the pressure is on the Dodgers, it will bode really well. It bodes very well for the New York Mets.
I agree with that. I think these I believe it's 2-2-1-1 for this championship series, right?
It's 2-3-2. So
it is 2-3-2. Okay.
Yeah, it's 2-3-2.
So I think that yeah. That changes. I was going to say the next 2 games would be vital for the Mets. I think coming into Citi Field, which we know how crazy Citi Field can get in the playoffs, and Met fans are great. They're passionate. So I think that's going to be a very difficult place for the Dodgers to come in and play to. If the Mets can take game 1, I think they're definitely either going to win it in New York or they're going to go back to LA with a lead.
It's very interesting. And again, they're heading back to New York, and now the New York Mets have played very well at home. It's very loud over there. The Met fans haven't seen this in a very long time. And if you're a Met fan, you should be excited right now for your team. I'm not going to hate on the Mets. I know Josh was telling me that, I'm excited about my Met team, and you're going to bring it down. I said, I'm not bringing it down. It's just don't over-exaggerate where the Mets are and what the Mets have done. Okay, I know Met fans were saying, I can't wait if it's a Subway Series, the Mets are going to run all over the Yankees. I understand the Mets are 4-0 against the Yankees in the regular season. The Yankees weren't 100% healthy when they played the Mets in any one of those series, back in Yankee Stadium or in Citi Field. This is a completely different Yankee team at 100%. So, again, I know Met fans think that they have the advantage if they go to the World Series, but it's just, that's not true. Okay, so I'm not saying that the Mets are not going to be favored to win because they're the hottest team in baseball right now. But the better team doesn't always win. And the Yankees are the best team right now in the playoffs. It's by far. It's all around pitching and obviously the lineup. The Yankees are the best team in baseball. There's No argument to that right now. Look at the relief pitching. The Yankees haven't given up an earned run yet in the playoffs. From Canley to Holmes to Weaver. I mean, from 7, 8, 9, they've been unstoppable. It's strikeout, and they've been bringing Weaver in the 8th inning and getting 5 outs, and he's been untouchable. So, I mean, and we'll get into the Yankees in just a few moments. I just think that the Mets fans need to, hit the brakes. Be excited for your team. They're way over scheduled for what they were going to be. And next year was going to be the year because they're going to go open up their purse. But I'm going to tell you this right now. The way the Mets are playing right now and the way they're building chemistry, you have to sign Pete Alonso in the offseason. Bring back this whole team. If you want to add a pitcher like Burns or Fried, you do that. Don't go out there and overspend for Soto. Don't go out there and overspend for this guy or that guy. If this team is playing as well as it is right now, you don't go out and go and spend money for no damn reason. I'm just speaking the truth. I could see the Mets bringing in Burns or Fried or maybe even both of those guys, but don't go out and spend $700 million for Juan Soto if you don't need to. And that's all I'm going to say. But this is a fantastic run for the New York Mets. Again, all you Met fans should be very excited about what your team is doing right now. And yes, this could be the first World Series they've won since 1986. Why can't you believe they were in the World Series in 2015, 2016. They came up short against Kansas City. They were a very good defensive and fundamental pitching team. Any one of these teams that they're going to be matched up against, obviously matched up against the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Cleveland Indians, have deficiencies. So the Yankees' best player is in hitting right now. Aaron Judge is in hitting right now. So that bodes well. But do you want to be the team that is the team that he faces where he figures it out? You know what I mean? If he figures it out in the World Series, watch out. This guy could have 5 home runs in the World Series. So there's a lot of questions to that. But right now, the Mets have a very good chance of coming out of the NLCS.
I agree. I think the Mets are going to end up coming out of it. But I think that also that the Mets have a very good matchup against the Yankees. And I think something that, you look at what the Dodgers have right now when they're struggling with starting pitching. I think that now I don't think the Yankees have great pitching. Their pitching is good enough to win with their great hitting, and I think it's their bullpen that's really a problem, and not a problem for the Yankees, a problem for the Mets.
Their rotation, I'll say this. I don't know if you watched what Rodon did yesterday. He's figuring things out. Garrett Cole is the best pitcher he is the best starting pitcher out of this whole all these 4 teams. From Yamamoto to whoever Manaea, any one of these guys. He is the best pitcher out of all of 4 of these teams. So if the Yankees pitch him 3 games in the World Series, whoever they play against in a 7-game series, the Yankees have the advantage. It's fact. Garrett Cole is the best pitcher out of all of them. This guy was last year's Cy Young winner. He was the best pitcher in baseball.
Oh, no, he's great. But after him, I think there's a massive drop-off.
I don't know about how do you say massive? I mean, we haven't even seen Luis Gil yet. Luis Gil was 15-6. He was one of the best young pitchers in baseball. I mean, you're going to tell me right now he's better than any of the Mets pitchers that they have right now on their rotation. He's got a better ERA. He's got a better whip. And he's 15-6. No Met pitcher this year was 15-6. Okay? I mean, Luis Gil's a better pitcher. We haven't seen him because he's a rookie. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees, it's short series. This is the longest series. You're going to see Luis Gil in this series. I think in game number 4. I think
we'll see how he does. But I think that the Mets are in a position against the Yankees where they can beat them too. I think that they match up very favorably.
Anybody can beat anybody in baseball.
I think they match up very favorably against them. I think that the problem for the Mets is that they don't want to play a offensive back and forth series with the Yankees. So if it becomes that,
we don't even know if they're playing the Yankees, so we got to pull up.
I'm just predicting the future. I'm saying, hey, if they end up facing the Yankees and it becomes an offensive back and forth series where every game is slugfest, that's where I think it becomes a real problem for the Mets. They want to play their style of game, and if they can make the Yankees play their style of game, I think they'll be in good hands.
There's a lot. It's a lot to understand on what's going on with both teams. But again, You should be very, very excited for both, because who would have thought that you would have thought that the Yankees would be where they are, but you would have never thought the Mets. And to have a Subway Series, this is a big year for New York sports. I mean, again, we can only hope that both football teams could somehow squeak into the playoffs. Right now, it doesn't look very good, but the Jets made a big move, and I still think the NFC is very weak. So who the hell knows what could happen there? Basketball, you have the Knicks with all the trades and all the moves that they made. They're in Vegas has them as the top 3 team right now in basketball. And then again, you have hockey. You have the Rangers and the Islanders, the Devils, the Buffalo Sabres. I think all 4 teams can go to the playoffs this year. So this is a great time if you're a New York sports fan.
Well, hold on. There's only 3 teams in New York for hockey. Devils play. I don't care about Tri-State. I don't care about that. It's New York, and then you have the wannabe New York and New Jersey. They wish they could be as good as New York. That's why they created the conspiracy of the Tri-State area, because they want to be included in New York, but they're not good enough. They're not good enough.
Well,
I didn't make the rules. I just made the fact. Okay, Devils are the wannabe New York team that plays all the way down there in Jersey, in Stinky Land, murder capital of the world, and we don't want anything to do with them. New York sports. We'll include Buffalo to be kind, because technically they are New York, even though they're closer to Canada. But
I disagree. I disagree.
I stated fact.
Well, you're stating your fact. It's not my fact.
Oh no, it's
just so for all the fans, I never stated that, so don't take that out of my.
It's geographical fact, okay?
It's his geographical fact.
You can look at every map in the world; it'll tell you the same thing.
I disagree with you completely.
The only thing you could say you could disagree with,
I disagree.
That New Jersey created the conspiracy of the tri-state area.
You are out of your mind. You're completely out of your mind. You're just out of your mind. The Devils are a tri-state team. So are the Brooklyn Nets.
They created the conspiracy.
They're a tri-state team. New Jersey is tri-state.
No such thing as tri-state. They created that to feel included.
All right, now let's get into the Yankees. I am not surprised that the Yankees went up in game number 1 against Cleveland. Now, Cleveland is still a good team. They have the best bullpen throughout the season. They had the best bullpen in baseball. Now, this bullpen has not been the same in the playoffs, but they can figure it out. They're as good as anybody from the sixth inning on. I mean, they've got a tremendous bullpen, and pretty much every single one of those pitchers can throw off-speed pitches over 90 and throw fastballs almost at 100. They're really, really good. And the Yankees got to get up early. They cannot play, catch up with this team. And what they did in game number 1 is what they have to do in this series. If they let Cleveland get an early lead, a 2-3 run lead, you're going to be chasing, and you don't want to chase. You have Garrett Cole on the mound tonight. Garrett Cole can shut everything down. He's been an important piece to what the Yankees have done. Now, I don't like him in Yankee Stadium. He has not been as good away. He's been better away than he has been in Yankee Stadium. Now, it's a small ballpark. He's a fastball pitcher. He's a power pitcher. He's given up a lot of home runs in Yankee Stadium. So I would have started him in game number 3. I would have played Luis Gil tonight or Clark Schmidt. That's what I would have done. But again, the Yankees are going to trust their star pitcher and believe that he is going to go out there and give them 6 strong innings and get it to that bullpen, which has been really untouchable. So they need to get timely hitting tonight. They need to get Aaron Judge going, and they need to get the early lead. They cannot play catch up with this team.
I think if the Yankees do that against any of these teams, I'll include the Dodgers with that. If the Yankees or Dodgers do that against any of the 4 teams remaining, where they have an early lead, their bullpens are good enough that it's going to be very difficult to win the game.
Yeah, and I just think that when you look at both teams and you look at obviously both organizations, the Dodgers and the Yankees, they're built to win. Not to say that the Mets are not going to, or they're not built to win. They've spent a lot of money on certain players. They have decisions to make in the off season.
I just want to say one thing about the Mets, and this is not like, I know that the Met fans are all in love right now. It's this big thing, but like they're all acting like it's a Cinderella story. They're not the team with the lowest budget in baseball. They're the team with the highest budget in baseball. I don't think that there is really a surprise that they're here. To me, the surprise is that they were actually able to put it together because they have the individual talent. We've known this for a few years now, but Lindor for the last few years hasn't been doing what we know he could do. Same thing with Alonso. It's just what the Mets have been doing the past few years. So now seeing them actually play, what they signed them, when they signed them, and what they have always done, it's not a surprise to me. That's not a Cinderella story. And people are looking at them like that, but they have the top. They're the highest salary in baseball, and I think that's preposterous.
I again, if you're a Met fan right now,
the Mets could literally find a quarter on the sidewalk, and Met fans are going to act like it's the greatest thing in the world because they expect the worst crap ever to happen to them. So any positive shit that happens to them, Met fans are going to act like they just had the greatest moment in sports history. Like, and to be fair to them, they have every right for that because they have given them crap for a very long time.
Dedicated fans. They're just like Jet fans.
1,000%. They are extremely passionate. And I love that about Met fans. But, I think they're a little bit in La La Land sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if they're in La La Land. The thought is right now, I think if you're a Met or a Yankee fan, the thought is with the Yankees, you're expected to win. And as a Met fan, if you're there, you better win. That's the problem. It's like a force. It's like, okay, we're forcing you to believe in this team. And then the Met fans see it and they believe it. So unfortunately, that's just the power of both teams and the bigger brother, the little brother. It's just like the Giants.
The Met fans need to get their mindset with this ownership needs to be not a shock when they do good, but an expectation when they do. Now, if you look back years ago, the Mets, a good season for them was just making the playoffs. You look now, with how much money they are spending, a good season should be going to the championship series or winning the World Series. Somewhere in that range. When you are spending that money, your mindset as a fan also has to change. And let me compare it a little bit to the New York Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
They had a couple years in a row where they went to the conference finals. Before that, the expectation on a good year was making the playoffs. People were happy about that. That was, hey, we were good. But after they went to the conference finals 2 years in a row, and you saw how close they were, the expectation changed from the fans to not be a team that makes the playoffs, but a team that can go to the conference finals or win a cup. That's what they expect. That is what they expect ownership to be trying to do. So the Met fans have to have that same reaction. The team is spending the money.
Mm-hmm.
The team is up there at the top salary in baseball. Your mindset has to not be, we're the little tiny Mets that are spending no money and we suck. No, your mindset has to be the expectation with what the ownership is giving you. What the ownership is giving you is a team that is expected to win and be up there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't like it that Mets fans have that, Cinderella story crap. It's not a Cinderella story when you're the top salary in baseball. When they had to change the rules during the CBA because of your ownership. Because of how much money other teams thought you could pay. That's not a Cinderella team to me.
Well, I think that the Mets have been, I wouldn't say a Cinderella team. They've been incredible.
A lot of people are acting like they are.
I think they've been incredible. I really.
They 100% have been, but it should be an expectation when you are spending that much money.
Obviously, you're not. If you're a Met fan, you should be excited for where they are because they shouldn't be there. And if you're a Yankee fan,
they're spending the most money in baseball.
Actually, the Yankees have the biggest payroll. The Mets are like third or fourth.
I think the Mets have the highest payroll.
No, they don't. The Yankees have the highest payroll by far. The Mets are like fourth or fifth in baseball. They do not have the highest in baseball. The Yankees do. Then the Dodgers.
No, it's the Mets and the Yankees.
The Yankees have the highest.
No, they don't. I'm looking at it right now. But Mets, I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the payroll tracker for Major League Baseball for 2024. Mets are number 1, Yankees are number 2.
I don't know why that because I all year the Yankees have had the number 1.
That's just not true though. So whoever has been telling you that has been wrong.
Wow.
Maybe they're saying they're the highest payroll in the American League because that they do. But in baseball, no, the New York Mets have the highest payroll. Total payroll for the New York Mets, $317,778,899. The New York Yankees have $309,434,607.
Well, it really doesn't matter to me. It is a Cinderella team because they shouldn't be where they are. That's just my opinion. I don't believe they should.
But why shouldn't they be there where they have the highest payroll in baseball? Why shouldn't they be there?
Well, we're not going to argue about this the whole fucking night. Excuse my language, but I mean, honest.
If you don't have a response to that, then okay, I'll take it as
their roster isn't that good. It wasn't expected. This roster wasn't built to win. They added pieces in the offseason just to fit. I mean, Severino, did anybody think that Severino was going to pitch as well as he has? Or how about Manaea coming as the last year and a half? He hasn't been a pitcher that he was 2, 3, 4 years ago when he was in Oakland. Okay? Again, they brought these players in because David Stern was coming to the New York Mets. They weren't going to go out there and spend a lot of money this past offseason. They were going to go into this offseason and spend money. So this is a surprise because they just botched these players together and this bullpen and this starting.
Well, how is it that they botch it together instead of they had great scouting?
The reason why the reason why their money is up right now is because they're still paying Max Scherzer and Verlander are not part of the team, so they're not even a part of the roster. That's why that's why it's so high. But as far as I'm concerned, and that'll be off their payroll at the end of this year.
No, I think Verlander is off.
But I'm just Scherzer.
Verlander, I think he's
Scherzer will be off at the end of this year, and they're going to have money to spend.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact is, it is a surprise that they're there. That's if you look at the position. Well, okay, you don't agree. I do. I
think when you spend that much money, your expectation should be that you are going, unless those players are all not playing. But when you have Lindor and Alonso, and you have some of the other guys that are in your lineup, you should expect them to be competing and expect them to be up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I disagree with you. I disagree with you. That's my opinion. I completely disagree with you. But nevertheless, I've been very impressed with what the Mets have done. So, and I think everybody has been.
I think they've been playing tremendous baseball for a long time now.
And I also think that the position that the Mets are now in is win or go home like any one of these teams, and they got a chance to win a World Series just as much as the Dodgers do, the Yankees do, and the Cleveland Indians do. So it's fantastic. You have Tanner Beebe on tonight, who is 12-8 with a 3.47 ERA. He is a very good pitcher. Garrett Cole, you would think that the matchup bodes well for the Yankees, but again, you just don't know what you're going to get out of Garrett Cole at a home game. He doesn't really pitch well as he does away. This year, in the 12 games that he's pitched away, he has one of the best ERAs in baseball. You saw what he did against Kansas City in Kansas City. They couldn't touch him. So they hit one home run against him, and that's all they could really get that barrel on. But it's hopefully he pitches a good game. They can go back to Cleveland 2-0, and the advantage would definitely bode well for the Yankees because it's going to go back to Yankee Stadium. So if they win this game, but nevertheless, I think obviously the Yankees have been the best away team in baseball this year. So
what is Garrett Cole splits? Out of curiosity.
Oh wait, dude, his ERA at home is like high threes, and in a way, his ERA is like 2.6. It's very different. It's a complete difference when he's away and he's home. And I don't even have it in front of my face, but I know that it's a complete difference.
Yeah, it's very big difference. Away, he's 2.49 ERA, and home, he's 4.31.
Mm-hmm. It's a big difference. So the advantage, for ours, because it's a bandbox, and he's a power pitcher, and being that if all somebody has to do is get a hold of it, and it's gone. So that's big. That's the advantage the Yankees have with all the power hitters that they have in their lineup. So I will see. I'm interested to see moving forward how the Yankees. I think this is a very important game for the Yankees. I think the Yankees need to win this game.
They're in Cleveland, right?
No, they're in Yankee Stadium. So
I thought Cleveland had a better record, but okay.
No, the Yankees had the best record in the American League. Let's get into obviously hockey because we're running out of time. So let's get into the Rangers and the Islanders. I watched last night's game, and I want to say something. We were speaking about this last week, and we had to see where Ilya Sorokin is going to be after his back surgery. And Varlamov has played back-to-back games, and I got very pissed off at Patrick Roy, okay, because I know you like Patrick Roy. Patrick Roy favors Varlamov. I've been saying this since he's come to this team in the middle of the year. He favors him because he coached him in Colorado.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that in this instance, it's more that you are paying how much you're paying Sorokin, and over 8 years that contract is starting this year. And if like he mentioned after the first game that he was going to talk to Lou about what they wanted to do with Sorokin and when they wanted him to start. So I don't think it's necessarily 100% on Patrick Roy. I think it was more also with Lou that they wanted to be careful with when they put him in because they didn't want to do it too early. But if he's good enough to back up, he probably could have played. But I think it was more them being cautious.
Well,
I didn't like how Varlamov played in game 1, by the way. If they went to Sorokin in game 2, I wouldn't have been shocked at all.
Well, Sorokin is their best hope to win this year. Anthony Duclair's played very well. I'm not, as you know, I'm not a big Anthony Duclair fan, but I think they overspend for him. That's just my opinion. But that's what
3.5 for a top line left wing is very good.
I don't think he's a top line left winger. I think he's a third line left winger. Okay,
I don't agree with that.
Well, okay, well, I don't. I really don't think he's as good as you think he is. But he's.
No, I'm not saying I think he is, but that's where he's playing.
I know. I think he's a third line.
3.5. If he's going to produce up there with Barzal and Horvat, then 3.5 is a bargain up there.
Yeah, if he continues doing what he's doing, yeah, it is a bargain. But we'll have to see, and we'll see if he can keep it up.
100%.
But he's played well. Barzal's starting to pick his game up. I think you're going to need a lot from that first line offensively if they expect to win this year. I think they're missing another offensive piece. I think Lou will have to look at that at the trade deadline. See if he don't trade away first-round draft picks. We can only hope that they don't do that, but Lou likes to do that. But I like what I see so far. It's still very early. We're only 3 games in.
I thought they played a phenomenal game against Dallas. Just nothing you could really do when Jake Ottinger is on the other end playing his best game. They played really well that game. There were a few instances in the first 2 periods where they could have scored, and Ottinger is just, I think, the top 3 goalie in the NHL. And him playing in Dallas, really kind of, a lot of people forget about him. But I love him. I think he's great.
He didn't play well in the final, in the Western Conference Finals. So.
No, he did not, but he is an extremely talented goalie. And personally, I think Dallas is my favorite by far to win the Cup right now. I think that watching them play in that game reminded me a lot of, from a defensive aspect, of how the Islanders played when they had Barry Trotz as their head coach. Teams would come in, they would get one opportunity, and then they would be out of the zone. And that's what happened that entire first 2 periods. They would cycle the puck for a little bit, get one shot on net. Dallas would pick it right up and transition going right off the opposite way. And that's really what they did against with Barry Trotz, and why it was so difficult for teams to really do anything against them, because they were so good at limiting opportunities, limiting second chance opportunities, and Dallas did such a good job at that. And I like watching defensive hockey, and I like watching them do that. I think that Dallas is a tremendous team, and losing 3-0 with the empty net isn't something that really worries me. I think I came out of that thinking that they were much closer to Dallas than the score really showed. I thought they played a great game.
Brock Nelson missed an open net. All he had to do was tap it in. He pushed it away.
Against Colorado, I thought they played very well. Colorado has a lot of injuries on their depth, but they still have probably the best first line in hockey, and they shut them down on the penalty kill twice. They shut down Dallas twice in the PK. So
Sorokin looked like
Sorokin in the third period looked really good. The first 2 periods, the Islanders defensively did a very, very good job of limiting anything. I think going into the third period, they had around 15 shots, Colorado. But coming out of that game, I've come to the conclusion that Wahlstrom is probably not going to end the season being on this 23-man roster. At one point, he's going to get waived. They're going to call back up Engvall and put Engvall on the third line and put Holmstrom on the fourth line. I think that is probably the best fourth line that they could offer right now, unless they bring up Foudy and put Foudy on the fourth line. But I don't think Wahlstrom's good enough skater to play against top lines in the NHL, which is part of the role of the fourth line. I think that Foudy or Holmstrom should be on that fourth line. Last year in the playoffs, and after he got moved there in the last third of last year, Engvall played well with Lee and Pajot. So I think that's probably the only way he comes back into this team. But we'll see. I think that they've shown a lot of really good signs right now. I liked a few of the changes that they made on the power play for their zone entry, which is probably the biggest issue they've had for a while. They went from having just Barzal as the trail skater to having Barzal and Duclair as the trail skater, and coming back in, which using their speed to get into the zone. I thought that worked very effectively on zone entry. That first game against Seattle, they only scored 1 power play goal out of 6 chances, but all those other 5 chances, they were generating opportunities. They were in the offensive zone. They were doing things which, if you're not scoring, that's what you want to see, because that's how you can keep momentum or use a power play to generate momentum in your favor. So I think they did have looked very good, and I've seen a lot of improvement that they've worked on, and I hope it's something that sticks around for the rest of the season.
I agree that the Islanders have played pretty well, and it's only 3 games, and I disagree that I've seen any improvement with their power play yet. I mean, they're not putting the puck in the net, so that's what I want to see.
It's more about, there's more things to a power play than.
I know I played hockey, and you have to find a way to put the puck in the net.
100%, but the best power plays are going to only score roughly one out of every four power plays. But like I said,
are the Islanders doing that? They're not. So
no, they're 1 for 7 right now, I believe. But it's I think it looks worse than it actually is. Their issues in the past were zone entry, so they might have an opportunity where they're there generating and scoring, and then the next 5 they can't get into the zone. Where those opportunities against Seattle that they didn't score, they were in the offensive zone. They were getting opportunities.
It's still early, but I know what you're going to say. But honestly, if they don't put the puck in the net, it doesn't matter. They have to find a way to put the puck in the net.
I think it's going to come. It's going to come, especially if they're generating chances in the offensive zone a lot, which they have been. So I think the power play will be better than last year.
Well, they should be better.
I also
Claire. I mean, they should. They should have added another offensive piece. They didn't do that.
What I like that they did was the second unit is more balanced than it was in years past. Instead, you look at what that second unit is now, it's a lot more resembling of the first unit from a few years ago. They have Pajot on there. They have Nelson on there. So they have talent on their second unit too that can score. So we'll see. But
so and then there's the Rangers that we expect the Rangers to be where they are. I think everybody and their mother believes that the Rangers should be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They're very talented from all the way from their starting first line all the way to their fourth line. They're really, really talented. They have great goaltending. Their defense is so much better than it has been over the years. Obviously, Trouba is definitely the argument right now. They're overpaying a guy that is their captain, but they've been trying over the past year to try to move him, but the contract is unmovable. But this could be the last year Trouba will be there. The Rangers have a tremendous amount of young talent right now in their farm system, defensively and offensively, that they could be calling up very, very soon. So maybe they move Trouba at the trade deadline. If he actually has a good season, that could be a piece that they can move to add some, talent around, the offensive side of the puck. But again,
I think they're going to move anybody. It could be Kakko. Mid-season?
But nobody wants Kaapo Kakko. He's just not, dude. He's not.
Kaapo Kakko has a role to play in the NHL. He's a good bottom six forward who can play good defensively. He's a good
This
PK
guy was
guy.
the number 2 pick in the first round. I was there when he was drafted.
Correct.
Everybody was like they were comparing his skills to Timo Solani. This guy is a complete bust because they couldn't develop him.
He's a bust to the New York Rangers, yes. But he has a role that he is good at. And he has to be able, if he's giving in those those opportunities, he can be a guy who can play for a while in the NHL. He's good on the penalty kill. He's good defensively. He could score maybe 10 to 15 goals a year. That's valuable on a third line for a good team. So somebody out there would take him on that contract, especially with him being an RFA at the end of the year. They could take him for the rest of the year and then do nothing with him if he doesn't do anything. And then with his cap hit gone, they could easily bring up one of these young great forwards they have and get some more goal production on that third line.
They've got so much talent.
I think Kaapo Kakko is somebody who could get moved.
Dude, they've got
at any point.
They got 2 great.
They have a great job and they have a great farm system. They've done a tremendous job at drafting, and I think Drury deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this right now: if Drury doesn't get this team in the Stanley Cup, he could get fired. This team needs to get to the prize, and that's the Stanley Cup. And they're not. I'm just speaking the truth. Oh, James Dolan is not going to sit there and continue watching a team just sit there and play in the same.
I think you're right, but I think that would be undeserving to him. I think that he's done a very good job, Drury, and I think that he should stay there for at least another year if they don't. I think fire him if they don't. They might not even win division this year.
If they're not in the Eastern Conference Finals this year, he's getting fired.
A lot of people are predicting the Devils to win division, so they could not even win division, and they're still a very good team. So,
I'm saying if this team doesn't go to the Eastern Conference Finals this year like they did last year, he's going to get fired. I mean, that's.
I don't think you're wrong, but I think that would be the wrong decision for the New York.
I don't. I think it's all about winning. It doesn't. It's all. This team is too talented. It's too talented for it to not get there. This is the Rangers have one of the top 3 most talented teams in all of hockey. They're very talented from top to bottom. They have one of the best goalies. They have one of the best. They have
maybe top 5. Top 5, I think, is more accurate.
I think they're top 3. I think they're.
I would say top 5.
Well, that's your opinion. Mine is top 3, and I think they're talented.
But I don't. I think that it's not far a big gap between 3 and 5. Mm-hmm. But I think that it would be more top 5. I think I think Dallas is number 1 for me. I think you can make a very good argument the Devils are better than the Rangers.
I don't. I think the Rangers are better than the Devils. They did add goaltending, and that was a good.
The Devils did a lot of good things.
They got a tremendous team, and they got a bunch of youngsters. Hamilton.
If they stay healthy, they're going to be.
Dougie Hamilton's one of the best defensive players in the league. We all know what their talent lies. Okay? They're a tremendous, talented team. I just, what I see. With the organization and where the organization is going is I think they're more, I'm more pressed to see where certain players are going to, play at their level. So they've got Jack Hughes, who's really becoming a star in the league. He's I believe, one of the top 7 players in the league, which I expected. I mean, John Van Beesbrook told me straight out. He's like, this kid is the real deal. He's going to figure things out. He is as good of American player we've seen in a very long time. So, and he's shown it. When he is healthy, he's unstoppable. Speed, power, everything you need to have a star player as your leader. So, and they got a tremendous amount of players, but I think the Rangers are more talented than them, and I think they have the better goalie. So, I mean, if you have a goalie like that, that's the one advantage that the Islanders have. That's the one advantage the Islanders have. If Sorokin is Sorokin, I think he's the best goalie in the world. That's my opinion. And
I still think Igor's better, but that's definitely the one area where the Rangers are better than Devils, and I don't think it's very close, is Igor. And mainly, it's not a shot against Markstrom. It's just Markstrom's 34, 35. I don't know how much of the year he can stay playing at a top level. Last year, he kind of had a little bit of a drop-off. If he plays like how he did a couple of years ago, I think the Devils are set. But to me, the jury's still out on that. I don't expect him to be able to be a guy who can play 55, 60 games and then carry them in the playoffs. Jake Allen really needs to be a guy who can play 35 games and at a decent level. That's a bigger question mark for the Devils than I think anything else, is that area right there. But if you look at, I think the Devils are more balanced forward. I think their defense is far better than the Rangers. Maybe not far. I think that's unfair to them. I'll say it's definitely a little bit better than them. But I think that the Devils right now, in the way that they're playing, I think they're the better team.
And now let's finish up with the New York Jets. I mean, what could we say about, and I had a lot to say about this on the Sports Loudmouth tomorrow. I'm not going to really get too deep into it because we have about 7 minutes left of the show. Last night was putrid. That was embarrassing. MetLife Stadium, have a chance to be in first place, 22 penalties, the most in the NFL this year. It's been the most in a game in the NFL in the last 3 years. It was embarrassing. Now, would I say all those penalties were penalties? No. Because I would say that they were missing calls on the Buffalo Bills throughout the game. Buffalo was holding all game long, and they were getting away with it. And being that the Jets were the home team, you would think that they would have the advantage. But they didn't. But there's no excuses to the mistakes that they made in that game. Greg the Leg missing 2 field goal kicks, embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. A 32-yard chipper. He should have kicked that. I don't care how windy it is. You are a professional kicker. Don't make any excuses. That's your home. That's your home field. You know the field better than anybody does. You've been there for 2 years. You're going to tell me you don't know the field?
That 32-yarder, I want to defend him, because if you watch that, it was going right down the middle, and then it took a hard, sharp left turn right into that post. The second one, the 43-yarder, that one is inexcusable. The wind is at his back going and pushing that ball towards the posts. I don't see how you.
Dude, he's missed 3 field goals.
Yep, you're 100% correct.
Field goals in 2 games.
You're 100% correct.
It's embarrassing. That game against the Broncos, that was the Jets should be right now
4-2.
Going into the game in first place. They should have been in first place, or at least
4-2 right now. At minimum, the Jets should have went to OT yesterday.
It was just embarrassing. And then after the game, the excuses. But I understand Mike Williams ran the wrong route. Stop it, Aaron. Stop pointing fingers at other players. You're the leader. You're the guy. Take responsibility for the mistakes that happen in the game. You have a lot to be blamed for with those mistakes. Okay? You're the guy. You're everybody. You're the face of this organization. And to me, everything sways to what Aaron Rodgers is, because at the end of this game, the next day, within 24 hours, they make a trade for his best buddy, Davante Adams. I mean, they got Davante Adams practically for nothing, Okay, this guy is still a top 7 wide receiver in the league. I don't care what anybody says. He's played 2 games. He has 200 yards and a touchdown. This guy is still one of the elite wide receivers in the league. How much better does he make them? Well, only time will tell. But Davante Adams with Garrett Wilson, I mean, I would say this tandem is as good as any tandem in the league.
Once Carr left, he stopped caring about the Raiders.
What happened?
Once Carr left the Raiders, I think Adams stopped caring.
I just think that it was bound to happen. I said it before the end of the season last year that he was going to the Jets in the middle of the year.
Yeah, we all knew that was happening, yeah. But I think that, part of the reason why he wanted to go to Oakland, or Las Vegas now, I'm sorry, was because of Derek Carr. And I think once he got traded, or not traded, he got cut and then signed with the Saints, he stopped caring and stopped wanting to be there. I think if Carr was still there, he probably doesn't get traded.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it doesn't really matter. The fact is he's traded. He's now.
But it doesn't fix the biggest issues on this team right now, which is the run defense, Ty Smith, and Greg Leg, and the penalties. Those are all much bigger issues.
The offensive line needs to play better. Okay,
I think the biggest issue on that offensive line right now is Ty Smith. I think he has been a shadow of his former self. I honestly, I would be shocked if sooner rather than later they put Olu there, and not because of injury, but because he's just not playing well.
Well, only time will tell. He's still a young guy, and you don't want to put him.
Him missing that block for Brees was brutal. He was running right by him.
By the way,
and he missed him.
By the way, it looks like Garrett Cole is on target right now. He looks pretty good right now in this inning. So he looks really.
What
good.
inning is it? 1?
Yes, but you could see that his pitches are crisp. His fastball is hitting the spots, and his curve, all his off-speed pitches are he's moving them all over he's not getting into trouble. It's not sitting in the strike zone. So he's on when the ball is moving and it's falling in the places that he's expecting it to fall. So
you know what my favorite moment of Garrett Cole's career is?
What?
When Ryan Zimmerman hit the 3-run home run off of him in the World Series. My favorite moment.
Well, my favorite moment is him pitching well. I'm always pitching well when watching the game. Anyways,
he pitched so well when he let up 5 runs against the Washington Nationals in Game 1.
Well, yeah, you talk about the Nationals, but they're the same team that had Bryce Harper, Trey Turner.
They didn't have Bryce Harper.
They had all
they
these.
Didn't have Bryce Harper.
What are you talking about? The Nationals?
When they won the World Series?
No, I'm talking about this guy.
Oh.
This guy Jose is getting. He kills Garrett Cole. He kills him. He's.
What, he hit a home run?
No, he almost did twice. I mean, he always kills Garrett Cole. If they can pitch, if he can get out of get through him, I think he's fine through this lineup. This guy just kills him.
Cleveland's a really good team, man.
Dude, he's like 12 for 24 against Garrett Cole in his career. It's like
that's a good number.
It's a bad number for the Yankees.
Well, I meant for him.
But I mean, the Davante Adams thing, it pretty much tells you one thing. Aaron Rodgers is running this organization. He's getting what he wants. Whatever he wants, Woody is making sure, and Joe Douglas is making sure. That could be gone. That could be gone. Nope, on the warning track. Dude, that scares the shit. I'm not even going to say it. That scares the crap out of me. This guy 3 times hit the ball on the warning track and just missed the home run. That's if I was Garrett Cole right now, I'd just pitch around him. I'd walk him. I'd just walk him. If you're seeing him hit the ball like that, he's bound to smack one. So he kills Garrett Cole as far as what I see in the numbers. But Davante Adams is it's a good move for the Jets. I think they absolutely stole him from the Raiders. I mean, to get a conditional third round that could be a second round only tells me one thing. And you know what that conditional is? The Hassan Reddick. That means if Hassan Reddick comes back and he plays well and does what he's supposed to do for the rest of the season, that becomes a second round draft pick, and that would go to the Raiders from the Eagles. So,
from the Eagles?
Not from the Eagles. I'm sorry.
From the Jets.
From the Jets. From the.
I was going to say that's a real highway robbery.
But as far as I'm concerned, Davante Adams has got to get there, and he's got to be Davante Adams. And he will. I think Garrett Wilson and him are going to be a good tandem. I think it's gonna open up the field for Garrett Wilson 100%, because now you can put Garrett Wilson in the slot. That's where he's great at. He's one of the best route runners in football. I mean, now you're putting him in a slot, he's not getting double teamed. Watch out. Garrett Wilson's going to get a lot of long plays and a lot of catches now in the middle of the field. I think I like this move, but again, they got to play fundamental football, and they have not played a full game at the top, defense to offense, all season long. You're 6 games in, and you've played every game. They play one good half of defense, one bad half of offense, one bad half of defense, and one good half of offense. They don't put it all together. They need to figure out how to put this all together, because they need to win at least 3 to 4 games in a row if they expect to make the playoffs this year. Because even though the AFC is weak, and it is right now, they're not playing well. There are teams like the Bengals that are now 2-4. They started the season 0-3, and now they're in the mix of things again. So now they're fighting for that wild card for the Bengals, for all these other teams fighting, Tennessee Titans, all of them. Miami's now going to get Tua Tagovailoa back, so they're going to be a lot better too. So it's just now it's a chase game, and now the Jets, the Chargers, you're going to have to chase for that wild card spot, because you're probably not winning that division now. You had a chance.
They still can. The chances are less, though. They have to win a few in a row and hope somebody pulls one out of their ass against Buffalo.
Buffalo just added Amari Cooper.
I know that's a problem.
Okay, Amari Cooper's a pretty good wide receiver, and
yeah,
they only did it. They only did it because they saw Davante Adams go to the Jets. They had to mimic.
They had to respond.
Yeah, and they know that the Jets are. They need offense, and Aaron Rodgers. There's no excuse for Aaron Rodgers now. He's got Lazard, his second best guy, and Davante Adams, his best guy. There's no excuse. And you have Garrett Wilson now, and you have Conklin and Rucker, and you have a great running game and Hall and Allen. There is no excuse for this offense not to put the ball in the end zone. This is a good offense. This is a really good offense.
I think that the Jets' offense is going to be a problem. But I think that they still have other things that are a problem that could cost them. Like I mentioned, the run defense, penalties, Ty Smith, etc. But on that note, it was a great show.
Yeah. Very good show.
I look forward to
next week.
Next week.
Yeah, that's us.
Well, everybody, hope you have a wonderful night, and tune in next week for another great show.
Good night, everybody.